Man, I'm loving these turrets so much. They're so much fun. Oh my goodness. I have 3 replays for you. 3 top 50 bases that I hit with HRZCM that are just so much fun for me. So first, this guy hasn't updated his layout to reflect turrets. So these rockets are straight up free to be shot by the turret. So I just dropped the turret. It started shooting the rocket. I had dropped another one to start shooting the other rocket too, and by the time I got around there, it was taken down. So he also gave me the mortar in an easy shock with the shock blaster, which makes it even easier for HRZCM. So basically, critters to distract the shock launcher and rocket, and a shock for the shock blaster and mortar. Clear up through the shock blaster. If you can get the shock launcher, that is fantastic as well. You sometimes do, sometimes don't. Depends on how your troops spread and everything like that. You can see how much damage that turret is already doing to the rocket, though, which is so funny. I let my troops go a tiny bit to take down that shock launcher before I reflared. Wasn't sure whether or not to smoke here, and the rocket was still up, so I thought, let's just re-smoke to be safe. And that second smoke cost me the last bit I needed for a critter box, so I just tried to medkit and hope that the turret distracted the mortar enough, and it did fairly well, but the rocket wasn't quite down. Got a couple of my Zukas. And then it died, and the mortar died, and there was nothing to shoot the machine gun, so I was like, well, that was kind of a wimpy turnout for that universal remote, but it distracted the machine gun, and the machine gun didn't kill anything, so it all worked out. I was happy. This was, I believe, my first try on this base. Second try, maybe. I'm not sure. Really, really simple here. The shock launcher got distracted by the turret. The rocket was not in range of it. It was in the blind spot, so I threw a second to distract the rocket this time. I shocked up here on the splash damage stuff. The flamethrower was out of range, and I wanted my troops to spread because I only had enough GBE for 1 universal remote. I wanted it on the machine gun, not the flamethrower. I saw Everspark taking it out. I think there were a couple Zukas shooting it, but they died, so I just sat there because I'm like, I'm not dying yet. I guess I can just sit here and wait for it to go down, and then I'll universal remote the machine gun. It'll be cool. But, I mean, the shock launcher and rocket are both distracted, so it was like, it took so long to get down that the shield was down before the flamethrower was down, and I was like, whatever, screw it, I'll just shock and finish the job a bit more quickly or easily or whatever. I really would prefer universal remote there, but it is what it is. It's all like, at this point, the base is so far down that it doesn't really matter. He has 6 boosted ice. Sometimes he has 7, sometimes he has 6, so got the hook up there. Next, this Russian gentleman, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. He always has really, really challenging layouts, and he always spreads out his rockets a ton. This is probably the closest I've seen them together. So triple smoke on the beach, drop Everspark left because you want a universal remote this cannon when you reach it, and Everspark needs to be way over to the left or she'll walk over towards these buildings. Critter box because there are bazillion mines right on that machine gun, and I can clear a bunch at once. Shock the mortar and shock blaster. Got the 4 shock that time. I'm so bad at 4 shocks. You can see I let this rocket go because my heavies are in front, and I have a critter box there and everything. Through the hack to distract everything, it did a really good job of protecting me. I had so many troops left. I had to clear the shock blaster, and I think I let them go a little bit longer to try to hit the shock launcher before I reflared. They got too close, hit the flamethrower. I reflared and was like just too early, and the troops got hit by the flamethrower but didn't take out the shock launcher, and I was really sad. So I re-smoked up here, didn't have enough for a 3rd smoke, and I was like regretting how that all went. And then the shock launcher went down, and it worked out okay. I think I threw a turret now instead of a critter box. Probably not a good idea, and I had to panic med kit here on the machine gun, but it went down and the mortar went down before any real damage was done, so it was okay. The sniper was picking off a couple Zukas, but you don't really need to worry about that. You can see he has a pretty large blind spot here where you can distract that last rocket. So I distracted that. Medkit for the flamethrower. I just let the troops go, hoping that the rocket wouldn't get anything big, and I don't think it did. I wasn't really watching that much. It might have destroyed a bunch of Zukas. Yeah, I took out a bunch of Zukas. Never mind. But all that's left is the mortar. There isn't even a lot of single shot around the HQ here, so once that mortar is gone, I can universal remote something. I want to get the flamethrower, but Everspark was too high and hit the boom cannon instead. And I think the boom cannon took out the sniper and almost got the flamethrower, and then the hack wore off. This is why I love universal remote being max level so much, because you can just destroy things around. Like, once you hack that boom cannon, it'll just smash everything. Like, boom cannons already are super powerful, then double their damage, and they'll take out buildings before they die. So one already got that flamethrower, and that left just 2 single shot things and the shock launcher, which was nowhere near enough to keep up with passive critters. I didn't have many Zukas left because so many got smashed by that rocket, I just realized. And so I finished this with like 3 seconds left, 2 seconds left, something like that. It was really close. Everspark took down the boom cannon on his own. That gave me enough for a turret that I used as soon as I got that shield down. Used a turret to try to shoot a little bit faster. Barely got this base down. But it's not a heart attack, so if I had been smarter, it would have been very easy. And finally, I have Peefy here. He always has really tough layouts. He copies Morty a lot and then uses other things a lot. He has this layout, which I was really like, I have no idea what to do right now, because really good spread of these snipers. Rockets are spread out. He has his shock blaster farther back than I do and a lot of people do, so it's harder to get to it. And I really had no idea what I was going to do, because that approach I used on the first 2 bases didn't look like it would work well on this one. And then I decided to try something silly and try to ignore all of the rockets. I think the first time I GB'd a rocket and it didn't quite work, so I tried to ignore all 3 rockets, and I'll show you how it went. So I spent my GBE clearing mines, because mines are what cost me the first try, I think first 2 tries on this. I went spread out up the middle, left all the buildings, which was really scary for me. Shock the flamethrower and mortar when that comes up. I probably could have gotten the machine gun. There were mines behind that sniper, so I cleared them last. Then I threw turrets up top to distract those rockets, and that was the key behind this attack and what I was doing. So once that's done, I just have to keep that shock blaster frozen and keep the shock launchers shooting critters as much as possible. I really need riflemen alive when I get up to the shock launchers. The key about winning or losing this attack is if you can take out the shock launchers before your side troops die, because the side troops die really quickly. And if you, like, there are a lot of times when you get one shock launcher and the other side doesn't quite get there because you spend too much GB protecting one side versus the other. Anyway, got them both down, which I was really pumped about. Then I reflare into the middle, and I hacked the sniper, I believe. Hit a hack here, and then it was just a race against time. I was saving all my extra GBE for a follow-up turret for the left side, because one side is going to have 2 rockets shooting at it, and that turret will go down pretty quickly. I'll speed it up a little bit for you here, because it's just grinding through 2 shields and racing against time. 2 mortars were in range, which was really, really sad, but they managed. You see, like, the critters spread out on a flat side of the HQ, spread them out just enough that it bought me a lot of time. I was losing troops, but very, very slowly, and I could outrace it just enough. 1 rocket versus 1 turret, you can last the whole attack, and the turret won't die. 2 rockets will take it down, so I had to throw a second turret, and I believe I used the GBE from the shields going down for a 3rd turret to keep it alive a little bit longer. And that bought me, yeah, there we go. That bought me enough time to take down his HQ, leaving all 3 rockets up the whole time, which is the first time I've actually done that on an attack. So it was super, super fun. I was really happy that that worked, and it made me feel so good. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you get to use awesome turret distraction stuff on your attacks, and you enjoy these tribal boosts and this 90% off troops, which is so great. Oh my goodness. I wish tribal or the troop mania could be all the time. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next time. Until then, my name's Ryan. This is the PSC Life, and happy booming.